Welcome to the webinar, How to Easily Manage Social Media Marketing for Campaigns. Now, I know that many of you think that easily and social media marketing shouldn't occur in the same phrase. So to that end, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about my mom, okay? She just turned 85 years old last Friday. And I will tell you she's not like any other 85-year-old I've ever met. She got her iPhone last November. And she and I text now back and forth, which is very funny. One of the cool things about my mom is that she runs a nonprofit organization that teaches metaphysical principles. So I want you to understand, when I say easily manage social media marketing for campaigns, I'm talking about the kind of easily manage that my mother could maintain, okay? So that's what I'm getting at with this. So just think that through as we go forward. That's what we're going to be walking you through. This session is going to teach you how to incorporate execution rather than have it be an afterthought or a time-consuming yet unmeasurable activity. Because there are a lot of other things you could be doing. I want to thank you for just being here on this webinar to look at this particular aspect of how you could more easily manage social media within your campaigns. And maybe you attended because a question came up for you in the past or a campaign you're planning to do in the future, or you're here now to learn about this topic, and it's my intention that you get some very useful information that will help you implement your social media into your campaigns going forward. Now let me tell you a little bit about Janu. Janu, for those of you who don't know who we are, Janu is an online marketing software company with online marketing tools and marketing automation capabilities for small and mid-sized businesses. We ourselves are a small business with tight budgets, and as we work with customers and conduct our own marketing, we package it up and share it in ways that are practical and applicable to you. And that's what we do with our webinars and other content that we make available. Today, we're going to be talking about understanding the social channels, defining your personas, creating a dashboard, and really looking at meaningful measurement and engagement and what that means. So when you choose your channels, the first thing you have to understand is you can't be all things to all people. You won't be able, unless you have a big staff and a big budget, it's going to be really hard for you to cover the gamut of everything that's available to you in social media today. And I think that's what leads to a lot of the confusion, because you hear, oh my God, you got to be on this or you got to be doing that. And so you feel like, you know, you just don't have enough time in the day and it's all just coming at you, but you've got to do something. If you understand the demographics of the different channels, then you can choose which ones are best for you. So one of the biggest risks in social is there's a flavor of the month. You know, I'm sure that everybody's heard about Pinterest. It's been the buzz all winter and spring, but it's been the buzz. And you want to, the one thing that I can say to you that I'm sure that anybody who really does a lot with social media will also echo is give up the chase for the silver bullet, that there's going to be some huge thing you do or something you find that's just going to be the silver bullet answer to everything, because it just doesn't exist. And while I know logically we know that, I think we all kind of hope in the back of our minds that something's going to come along to rescue us and really have it all make sense and just be really great in terms of how it all works. So the risk is that you or your executives want you to do what's sexy, what's coming along, like Pinterest and all these different things, and Google Plus and Facebook or YouTube. But it might not be the best bet for your audience or for the success of your campaign. So you want to be able to think through what best fits for what it is you're doing, and then focus on doing that really well so that you can get the best success possible. You want to understand the makeup of the different channels so you can make wise choices about your participation on them and why you're choosing the channels that you do. So let's just take a look at some of these platforms. Facebook, let's just look at the average user on Facebook. Has 130 friends on the site, sends 8 friend requests a month, spends an average of 15 hours and 33 minutes on Facebook per month, visits the site 40 times a month, spends an average of 23 minutes on each visit, is connected to 80 community pages, groups, and events, and creates 90 pieces of content each month. If we go further and look at the demographics, more than 70% of Facebook users come from outside the United States, and of the 900 million subscribers, only about 97 million are in the United States. So if you look at this chart, well, young adults, the age from about 18 to 25, lead the way with a combined approximately 50 million users, which is almost double the size from a year ago. The 26 to 34 age group is now well behind with only 29 million users. And what's really fun is when you look at the data, is where the arrow is accordingly, there are a combined 28 million people over the age of 45 active on Facebook. Now that's impressive user numbers from a fairly older demographic that continue to grow. So as here in the United States, as 10,000 of us reach 65 every day now as the baby boom generation hits retirement age, it's important to note that that 55 to 64 and older age group is almost the size of the 13 to 17-year-old age group. And it's further evidence that Facebook isn't just limited to young people. Now, if we look at the others, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google+, you can see that if you have a product that appeals to mobile users, Twitter could be a good choice. Twitter is highly skewed, however, towards entertainment. So those of us in the B2B audience space, what we mostly see out there in B2B is either vendors or providers or consultants that are establishing thought leadership. That's who's tweeting. The general consumer for our stuff are not the people tweeting out there if you're in the B2B space. So it's because it's highly skewed towards entertainment. One of the prime times that people tweet is while they're watching TV. That's important not only for choosing the channel, but for knowing when to tweet or how Twitter may be able to be helpful to you. Now in professional services, as I just said, the people doing business development with Twitter are really niched into their market. For example, an IP attorney getting in front of other attorneys for the referral business might work because those folks might be on Twitter because they may be tweeting for one reason or another. So there's a lot of subject matter experts on Twitter. So one plan for Twitter is to get in front of the subject matter experts that will refer business to you. If you have a B2B service, what you're going to do is tend towards LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has about 101 million members as of July of 2011. They're 41% male, 58% are female, 58% male. So that's about half and half. 47% of all users on LinkedIn are from the U.S. We've got 22 or 23% in Europe and 13% in Asia. And they tend to be more affluent and educated than the average internet user. So if you have a B2B service, you'll tend towards LinkedIn. If you have a more professional audience you're looking to access, you're going to find LinkedIn valuable. Now, it isn't say to pick only one, but you really cannot pick every single one of the social media networks. It's just not appropriate given your audience and given your time and effort that you have to focus on it and do it well. Now, Google Plus is interesting because it's younger and wealthier than Facebook. It's about 63% male, mostly software engineers. And Google, while they say they have about 40 million users, what you need to know is only 17% or so are active with Google Plus, which brings it down to about 6.8 million, and it's probably a little bit higher now, but it's about 6.8 million. And you could look at, when you look at who's on Google Plus, think about a high disposable income. These people might be suburban parents with a good disposable income. And Google Plus Pages offers good opportunity for brands, and 61% of the top brands have Google Plus pages. But the thing that you want to focus on with Google Plus, and what we're seeing more and more people participate with Google Plus for a reason, and that is because Google has very clearly said that Google Plus likes and friends and the activity there is going to directly influence search engine results. So they're using their big search engine influence factor, their dominance in that market, to say, hey, everybody needs to use Google Plus. So another reason why many brands may be jumping on that bandwagon, but you want to pay attention, because right now you've got to look at search and social and content marketing, and all of that confluence is coming together, and you want to optimize across all of that. So now let's look at some upstarts, Tumblr and Pinterest. So Tumblr has 13.4 million visitors as of July of last year, and 49% of the traffic on Tumblr comes from a 12 to 24-year-old age group. So it skews very young, or a lot younger than the other social media platforms. And it's fairly even split between male and female. What Tumblr is, if you're not familiar with it, it's a microblogging platform. Their traffic in 2011 was up 218% over 2010, and its popularity among teens and college-age users, teens ages 12 to 17 and users ages 18 to 24, are twice as likely to use Tumblr as the average internet user, according to ComScore, okay, who tracks usage and that sort of thing. Now, Pinterest is an amazing upstart. So it's a visual social network, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, that organizes by topic and lets you reshare with one click. So it's called pinning and repinning, and you have pin boards. And it grew a devoted base of users. The majority of them are female here in the United States, and they enjoy pinning items they find around the web. You can pin pictures, and most recently you can actually pin video. So you can pin YouTube videos on Pinterest. People can actually comment and talk about whatever you've pinned right there in Pinterest. They don't have to go over and have an account anywhere else. So it makes it very interesting. So mainly you're looking at between the 24 and 44 age bracket with Pinterest, and only 25% have a bachelor's or higher degree. They're more likely to find the users in the Midwestern states like Utah, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Idaho, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, North Dakota, like that. The Pinterest users, interestingly enough, over in Europe tend to be skewed much more professional in the online marketing space, because it's gained so much popularity over there, and it tends to be more male, say over in the England and the UK in the European space. But here in the US, where the main audience really did mushroom from, the audience tends to be more female, and it tends to be on popular items. So clothing, home decor, and recipes tend to dominate the site. Inspirational quotes and humor are also popular topics for users to add to their pin boards. And Pinterest is really redefining social bookmarking sites. So quite frankly, if you have a cutting-edge home storage solution with some great shelves or bins, then you're going to want to set up a Pinterest account and go to work. It's like right there in your perfect demographic. So consider that in terms of Pinterest. Now, the important thing to look at when you're thinking about social is you want to figure out which ones are really the best for you to focus on. Like I said, you want to pick maybe 2 or 3, and you want to think about those that play well together. Okay, so what you do and your efforts can then go further, because you won't have to be completely different in terms of they just don't go together. So the channels like Pinterest, Google Plus, and Tumblr, and others can particularly be important if you don't have a blog, or if you want to launch a campaign separate from your company blog, because they give you a way to post unique information about the products or services you're promoting and use that to drive traffic to your site. So you can use it with your content marketing, and it can actually, some of these platforms can actually house your content. If you take a few hours up front to decide on your 2 to 4 channels that you're going to leverage and set up how you're going to access them and how you're going to track them, you can use them effortlessly during your campaign. Again, I'm going to say this again, don't try to do them all. You may discover, depending upon your demographics and what your campaign is, that Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn isn't right. So you want to pick 2 or 3 channels. More will just burn you out and confuse you if you're just getting started. You want to understand how the channels all work together. For example, if you set up to broadcast directly from Twitter to Facebook, and then you set up a dashboard, you end up with double tweeting everything because you forgot that you linked your Facebook page with Twitter, and you can get to a mess really quickly. So you want to be really deliberate. You want to document how are things getting posted out to the different channels so that you can develop a strategy that gives you the most control and the most leverage over how to use the channels well. So how do you select your right channel? If your product is a household, clothing, or cosmetic, you may want to integrate Pinterest with Twitter and Facebook. For example, you could showcase ways your product is used on Pinterest and tweet about it, and then link from Pinterest to your site. If you have a technology product, maybe you want to go with Google+. Also, gaming products would do well there. Definitely Twitter. You can host a Google+ huddle about your product. It's group text messaging, basically, is what Huddle is. And it has an Android-only mobile app at the moment. So if you're going for a high mobile audience, then Google+ Huddle might be native to that mobile audience. You can also do a Hangout in Google, which is up to 10 users connecting via video. And these provide ways for small groups to connect and can include video, which is fun. Games like Dragon Age 2 use Hangouts to get people excited about the game. If you have something that can be previewed in video, you could preview clips in a Hangout prior to launch. If you have a younger audience, make a cool Tumblr page. If you don't have a blog or don't want to be using a blog, it can become a blog of a product or family of products. You can tell stories, post pictures, etc. The Today Show has a neat Tumblr page where they take pictures of things they're featuring. And you can see comments to see what's on the show. Pictures of people using it, and you can make it so others can post. It's a great opportunity for user-generated content. But also, you don't want to underestimate the power of YouTube. You can post videos and allow video replies to be posted as well. So we're going to look more at video-based content as we move on through the webinar because it is important in a number of realms. All right, let's talk about creating personas. You want to know, who are you talking to? When I work with small businesses and we say, who's your audience, we get a demographic response, like just the cited statistics, while we're talking to this group. But who are they really? What do they care about? What are they engaged in? What do they love? What are they worried about? You want to create a persona that gives you an idea about how you would focus and target content to them. And that has to hit the emotional realm a little bit as well. So when you're choosing your channels, you want to make sure that you choose the best social channels for your personas, for your audience. And when choosing your channels, and I mentioned this briefly before, you want to make sure they play well together. So for example, LinkedIn, Tumblr, and Pinterest, I wouldn't pick those together. They don't have similar demographics. So you want channels that will play well together. Twitter's kind of loose. It plays well across a number of things. But LinkedIn is fairly particular to that business professional audience, while Tumblr is really great for that younger audience. So when you're using social media, what are your goals? What are your marketing and sales goals? You want to ask yourself, what topics will move you forward towards those goals? What are the kinds of topics that are going to engage your audience, your persona? You want to make sure your blog topics and social campaign topics contribute towards that goal. Because now this is where your content and your social media, and then we can even talk about search engine optimization and your keywords, come together so that you can optimize all of it. And if you think this through just a little bit ahead of your campaign, you'll have a far easier time implementing your campaign, and you'll get better results from your campaign. So an example is for this is, if you think about accounting and accountants, you might think bland, right? Bland. What are we going to talk about? But an accountant with a sense of humor is a twist. Content that highlights that sense of humor when addressing topics that are important to pay attention to can provide engagement and interest that attracts the specific target market that you're going after. Your campaign should be designed to make prospects fall in love with you. The point of the accountant example is that when it's expressed in the right channels, that accountant will attract his A clients that love that sense of humor, since that expresses who that accountant is and sort of who they are, and people who appreciate that will be far better customers than people that get irritated by that. So when you think about the target market for your campaign, what are the best channels to use in that campaign? When starting out, limit it. Choose only a couple so you can focus and not dilute your efforts. It'll help you be more successful. Let's look at a persona example. So if you've got a professional, educated, higher net worth individual, such as Raymond Alexander, he's the 52-year-old managing partner of a 35-person accounting firm who uses LinkedIn to keep track of what his clients and employees are up to. You've basically got somebody here, he uses LinkedIn, he's professional, he's educated, he's got a higher net worth. So you can look at what you might use to understand where to post and what voice to use in different channels. So hearing that persona, you can already see or start to see what you would post to get Raymond's attention. Let's take another one. Here's Li Jian, is a 30-year-old attorney eager to move up in her firm, who's trying out all the new social media to see if it gives her an edge. So Google Plus might be a perfect place to reach out. It skews to a younger, tech-savvy and marketing-savvy sort of individual. So again, you can see she's someone who you would address very differently than Raymond on the previous slide. In the couple of hours that we talked about at the start of your campaign, so the couple hours at the beginning of your campaign, right after you've determined your channels, take a little bit of time and write out your personas. It's really crucial if there are multiple people on the campaign, but also important if it's only you, because it's going to shorten your time later, because you can just look at your persona and you'll be focused in on what will be right to post, what will land with that particular audience. You only want 2 personas per channel if you can do that. So if you pick 3 channels, you're looking at 2 to 6 personas total, and some personas will span channels. So you want to be really clear who your target audience is. So for example, Li Xian might be both on Google Plus and on Twitter. So you want to identify who else in your target market is in your target market and add additional if necessary. So you want to build out your personas and understand who you're marketing to so you can design those messages appropriately. Now, you want to set yourself up for success. So that's a little bit about planning out and understanding how to engage. Now let's set you up for success. You want to use a dashboard. We're going to talk and look a little bit at HootSuite because it's easy to get started with and it allows you to do a host of things. So it allows you to manage multiple channels, streams, and searches, and allows you to incorporate multiple people from your organization. So it allows you to share with other HootSuite users and manage activities for that team. So you can assign activities to each other and you can manage getting those done. Right now, HootSuite covers LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Foursquare, and WordPress accounts. And it only allows for searches and listening, really, from Twitter. And right now, as of yet, they don't yet include Google+. But for $6 a month for their Pro Edition, it can be really effective for coordinating social posting across a team and monitoring it. And that is monitoring as long as Twitter has content and posts for your key phrases that are important to you and your audience. So keep that in mind. What you want is a tool that will allow you to write and schedule posts. So you want to be able to plan and schedule posts because it can be really helpful. You can plan out in advance as you plan that campaign what posts are going to hit in which mediums, in which platforms, when. Okay? And it doesn't group all posts together. Like you could do a post and post it to everything. Or you can post specifically and appropriately for a channel. So for example, not all channels should have the same posting frequency or even the same message. So you want to understand and be appropriate for the channel. And if you have something that allows you to schedule things out, you can do that. Not all, okay, so you can select the channels that you post to. So out here at HootSuite, I can choose post a message and I can write it just for Facebook or Twitter or both or LinkedIn. So I can do a variety of different ways that I'm going to set up my posts. But Twitter, you want to post to much more frequently and with different messages than you would Facebook or LinkedIn. I mean, let's look at it. You have all your Twitter followers, and they have all the people that they're following, and your post is going to flit across their Twitter screen really quickly. People might be on in the morning, or they might be on in the afternoon, and if you only post once, then you're only going to get their attention if you happen to post when they're there and when they're looking. So you want to look at that, but you don't want to post the same message out over and over and over and over, because that's an easy way for people to just stop following you. It's irritating, right? So you've got to vary it. You've got to think about being more creative about how you post if you're going to post more frequently as well. So Twitter only allows for 140 characters, while Facebook and LinkedIn allow for longer posts. Facebook and Google Plus allow pictures and other media in your posts and in your updates. So you could basically schedule a post out and have it be appropriate for the right social channel that you're on. So a Twitter example, addressing the need to post to Twitter more frequently. If you have new content, a blog post or an ebook or etc., you'll tweet that it's posted or available in the morning when you post it. Then again, a different post in the afternoon to the same asset or landing page. Then you'll tweet about it a couple of days later. Again, a whole different post and at different times of the day. You'll continue to post to Twitter for the next couple of weeks with different posts. And be sure you're posting to Twitter other items as well, so it's not just posts for your campaign. So you have to intersperse that with other kinds of posts to Twitter so that if someone looks at your stream, it's not just all content going to one asset or one landing page. So when somebody's going to follow you, they want to know that you have some good things that are going on. And if they see all the same posts or something very similar going to the same place, then it's not going to be as good of a stream. So you've got to vary that up. Now, you wouldn't post that frequently to Facebook. You'd have people stop following you. You know, you have to be appropriate to the medium that you're in, and you can post longer posts out to Facebook. So don't forget about bookmarks in your browser. So for sites that need to be accessed directly, so for instance, they're not available, let's say in HootSuite or the tool that you choose, you want to be able to put them somewhere so that you can get there with one click. Because if you can't get there in one click, then you're probably not going to, you'll hesitate to post. You won't post as frequently because you'll be like, oh, I'll get around to it later, I don't have the time for that. But if you set it up, and you can use your bookmarks to do that, you set it up right there, you can click and you can get there. Otherwise, your social media is going to be a hit or miss proposition. The next thing is really understanding what measures mean. So firstly, you want to use a URL shortener specifically for the links in social media. They're important for trackability and metrics. So you'll see that HootSuite automatically uses hourly for its URL shortener. And it also measures how many people click through. So you can track which of your links are generating the most interest. You can also do it with Bitly and that sort of thing. HootSuite automatically uses Owly. The wonderful thing about having the click-through rate is that you can see what's getting people's attention. After your first week, see what people clicked through on and do more of that. Metrics help you understand what's working and what's not, so you can experiment and improve. And if there's one thing that I can tell you is don't take all of this stuff so seriously. Look at it more like a series of tests, an experiment. Try things out, see what works, find out what wins. But if you think about it in the context of your content, your goals, what you want to produce, who your personas are, who the customers are that you're talking to, and what's the content that's going to best reach those customers and engage them to help achieve the goals that you're after, you can start to optimize across those aspects. If we look at Facebook metrics, you'll be able to get your reach and your engaged users. Your reach number is the number of unique users that saw your post. And the engaged number is the number of users that clicked on your post. So talking about that one and how many people are talking about this are the ones who have reshared it on their page. So then they also talk about virality. What's your virality percentage? If people, the number of people who shared versus the number of people who saw it, it's not always going to be correct in terms of giving you really what's happening. So you want to be very careful about the percentage. So if 2 people saw it and 1 person shared it, you would show a 50% virality. Well, who cares, right? Versus 100 people saw it and 40 people shared it, and that would only be a 40% virality. But check out the difference. I would take that one over the littler one anytime. So watch the percentages and how they're calculated. So you don't want to just look at those big numbers and go, oh, it's 40%. You want to look at what's behind that number and see what you're doing and then work to improve that. So these are all available. If you're working with Facebook, these are all what Facebook Insights makes available. And that's what's available from Facebook. Okay, so the next thing that we want to talk about is where are you driving people to? So you're using social media to get attention and to engage users, but what are you engaging them in? You want to use landing pages. You might be engaging them in a blog article and that sort of thing. You want to drive them to the specific page, and then you want to make sure you have calls to action on that page that will give you a conversion opportunity. Because without that, it's just, it's great information, but it's not going to drive towards any result, and then you lose out. So you don't want to exclude the call to action that you need. So you want to drive users to distinct landing pages that allow users to engage with your content and allows you to measure response and engagement for the campaign. And if you can set up distinct landing pages that you're driving people to that aren't necessarily available from other natural ways people would get there, you can really target it in and say, this is exactly what we got from this campaign. A lot of times that's not as possible or as easy for people. But you want to tie landing pages to the campaign specifically if you can. You want to allow enough information for discovery. Now let me talk to you a little bit about landing pages, the new version. You could say landing page 3.0, as I heard at a talk at the Online Marketing Summit this year. But let's look at it. So have you heard of microsites? So they came and they went and they were popular and then they weren't and all of that. But if you think of microsites as a landing page, as the new landing page, and how it can be a complete engagement device, it can be very effective, and it is in fact gaining a lot of steam. Why? Because your campaign landing pages can provide social proof elements as well as invite and encourage sharing. But there's the idea of a message match. So when somebody's coming in and they're expecting a particular kind of content, you don't want to bring them to your broad website because your broad website is going to allow them to go all over the place, and they may not even be able to zero in on that message match. And if you lose that message match from what they're expecting to get when they click, you've lost them before you even have an opportunity to move them further. So if you have a highly targeted landing page or set of what I'm going to call microsite pages, so your landing pages are now more than just one page, you can have specific pages that will match what the visitor is expecting and provide a content-rich, engaging experience for them. And that's really the rebirth of microsites. It incorporates content marketing, social media marketing, search engine marketing, you know, that whole thing. So content is the world now. It's not just king, it's everything. Rich content, relevant content, assemble a series of related landing pages and incorporate common conversion point throughout all the pages. So no matter what page they go to surface more information, you're going to have that common call to action throughout each page. So a landing page no longer equates to a single page if you really want to engage your audience. You may have a page that shows how many, you know, friends that you have on Facebook, for instance, as part of your landing page. So they can see, wow, there's a lot of people who like this. This must be good, right? So you can, it's kind of a proof element that you can layer in. But you can't do that if all you've got is a single page. So a microsite conceived of this way allows you to surface more content to your visitors and allows them to discover content in a free-form way. So there's more, but that gets at the importance of landing pages as part of a distinct campaign and then tracking results specifically. Mostly, you want to think creatively and tell a story. Incorporate story elements into your campaign. So you want, and story elements means that if you know emotionally what moves your audience and your target, your persona, what moves them, what interests them, what frustrates them, you can really start to use those emotional elements and hooks in your storytelling process to really keep them engaged. So when you think about social media and the heightened importance of search, you want to consider optimizing for better social engagement and customer experience, because if you really took this to heart, you could really come up with a targeted microsite of landing pages, and that group of landing pages that could actually end up doing quite well with search engine optimization, particularly given the social aspects that you're going to incorporate to drive traffic. And that brings us to driving value and interactions. Now, this diagram I took directly from Marketing Sherpa, and it's a great diagram, the hub and spoke, basically, where I've been talking about, you know, you have search engine optimization, you've got social, and then you've got your blog and your website or your landing pages and your microsite, whatever you want to call them, that's the hub, right? The spokes are all the ways that you're going to engage people with social, and then organic search is all the ways that people are going to be able to find and engage with your content. And the more you understand the personas that you're engaging, the more you can start to look at the kinds of content and how you're going to use the different channels to accomplish your goals. So you drive awareness. Ultimately, that the search engines can drive traffic to your social channels like YouTube, SlideShare, Scribd, LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. Can also drive traffic to your blog and your website. And then those social channels can drive traffic to your blog and your website or your landing pages, right? So that's kind of a hub of the wheel. So you want to think about how it all works together. When evaluating your activities, you want to ask yourself how you could start integrating your current content, search optimization, and social media marketing efforts so they work better together. So if you know your key phrases and your key terms and you know the personas involved, what's the kind of content that's really going to help make that case? So people will engage with content on your blog, but then you move them and you have calls to action on your blog pages that take them over to your website for the conversion opportunity, or to you bring them into your landing page little microsite that you created that has both the content and the calls to action all in one, and you drive your traffic there. And then you can also drive more traffic to your website from there if you want, or you can have it be a completely self-contained landing page experience. let's talk for a moment about the value of video, because it's important. And just as a FYI, for those of you who don't know this, last month I did a webinar on how to incorporate video into your social and online marketing campaigns, and actually how to produce video, how to think about and start to create some videos really easily and cost effectively. So if you missed that webinar, you can watch the recorded version of it by going to our website, www.janu.com, and click on our resources link, and then go to our webinars page, and you'll see an access to the recorded webinar. But in a nutshell, I'm just going to state some quick facts. The value of video can improve your conversion by 100% over text and pictures. If you incorporate video, it gives somebody the whole world of you. And if you think about how quickly people size you up and grok things, video gives them the sight, the sound, the motion, everything. It puts it in a context. And it can do that so much better than text and pictures. You'll see that conversion, when studied, conversion can improve by 100% or more. Video makes your site pages more sticky. People spend more time on your site. They're more interested. And it can impact your search engine optimization. For example, 84% of the videos that show up in the search engine result pages for Google, if you've seen them, you do a search and little video pictures come up on the first page of the search results. Those are pulled from YouTube videos. And the YouTube videos that actually rank for those terms are the ones that Google pulls. 84% of them, of the videos shown in the search engine rankings for Google, are pulled from YouTube. And 37% of the videos shown in Bing are pulled from YouTube. The other percent is made up by the Bing Content Network, that's made up of people like, CNN and MSNBC and stuff like that. So chances of you getting in that network are probably nil. So again, it's YouTube for you, right? That's where you want to have a presence with video. And video content can help both social media efforts and your overall campaign effectiveness, just from a conversion standpoint. So do not overlook video. It can be very important, and it doesn't have to be difficult. Go watch my other webinar. Okay, now let's look at setting up listening, because the thing that you're going to need, as we've said many times, content is king. Content is beyond king. It's kind of the world, right? It's everything. So one of the biggest challenges that we hear from our customers, and we hear from people that we work with, and conversations that I've had with different business owners and business marketers, is how do you create the content? How do you do it? You're so busy already. How can you think about that? So one of the ways to really look at developing content is you got to get your ear to the ground to know what's important to your target audience. If you have some subject matter experts that actually know that audience really well, interview them. Record the interview. Get it transcribed. You can use castingwords.com. Get it transcribed overnight. You've got it in a document. You just give them a recording, and now you can start to create your content. So you don't have to write all this content, but where you get ideas from and maybe find people you could interview would be set up listening. So HootSuite would allow you to monitor Twitter and that sort of thing, so you can set it up. And it helps you generate content ideas. It can help you make friends and expand your social reach in terms of who's going to retweet you or who's going to like certain things, and followers, and repost what you post and all that sort of thing, so it can help you expand your network there as well. And if you set aside 15 minutes each day to review and make notes and take action, just 15 minutes, that's a cup of coffee. You could do it first thing in the morning when you get in. But you want to work it into your schedule, so it's something that just happens naturally, rather than it being yet one more thing that you gotta do. Now, if you want to have more than just Twitter in what you monitor, and there's monitoring platforms that you can purchase, like Radian6 and things like that. Radian6, I think, is owned by Salesforce, and there's others. You can also set up Google Reader. That's free. Set up Google Reader as a listening platform. Put your key phrases in. Find blogs that talk on that subject. Follow those. They'll all flow into your Google Reader account. Now you can go through that, and you can review and look at the different things and start to get ideas for what's happening in your world, for your audience, right? What I will say is that we do have a video that shows you how to set up Google Reader, because it can get kind of daunting. If you want that, I don't think it's publicly available yet from our website. It will be at some point, but I don't think we've gotten it publicly available yet. We actually offer it, I think, to our customers. But if you're interested in taking a look at it and checking it out, send me an email to kim@janu.com and ask specifically for the link to the Google Reader how-to video, and we'll make sure that you get that information or you get that link so that you can check it out if you're interested in doing that. So with a little bit of planning on the front end of your campaign, you can incorporate social media into your campaign planning and execution rather than having it be an afterthought or a time-consuming yet unmeasurable activity or something that's so confusing that you wouldn't know how to use it, because you're guided by, remember, you're guided by who you're talking to, your target audience. They're in the middle. They are your focus, is your target audience. So basically what you want to do, it's very simple. You want to understand the channels in your personas, right? Then you want to select the right channels. You want to select the right channels for your target audience. You want to create a dashboard. You want to assemble your landing pages with the right content and calls to action. You want to be able to coordinate with other team members when you establish that dashboard. And then you want to be able to schedule your posts, throughout your campaign so you get what you need there. You want to be able to monitor the results. And you want to have listening. Why? Listening so that you can assemble more content, schedule more posts, continue to engage that target audience that is your focus. Okay? So that's the whole thing in a nutshell. All right, and with that, I think we have plenty of time for questions. So if you haven't entered your questions in yet, you want to do that so that we can start to get those questions addressed. So let's see how we look at the questions that we've got. Okay, so what differentiates your platform from HubSpot, Magento, or WordPress? Our platform is basically a set of online marketing tools. We are very close to the HubSpot functionality. They do a little bit more with social media right now than we do, just from a reach perspective. We have the SEO, the search engine optimization, and the email marketing capabilities and things like that than they have. Magento is an e-commerce platform, so Magento can integrate with a Janu. We don't do the e-commerce. I don't think HubSpot does e-commerce either. And WordPress is really a blogging platform. You can do websites in WordPress. Most people that have WordPress, unless you know the technical ins and outs for all of the different widgets that you're going to employ with WordPress, it can be sort of daunting to get all the different plugins that you need to do all the things you need. So you're going to end up being reliant on technical resources to really help you get that deployed well. With Janu or a HubSpot, you don't need that technical involvement. So I would say that that's where we are. And we're also priced for that small and mid-market place. So, so from that perspective, we take that into account because we want people to have really great tools. Okay, next question. Do you believe in creating unique profiles for each persona on social media channels as a way to connect with them? That is to say, would you create a Twitter profile for the lawyer that you mentioned and make her a brand advocate? I don't know. I mean, when I'm talking about the profiles, they're not actual people. When you come up with your personas, they're not actual people. They're a composite of the kind of people, what would characterize your perfect audience. As you do your research, you'll start to build a picture of who they are. And so you can give them a name so that you can talk about that person easily, right? So that's more it. So it's not so much that you're making them a brand advocate like they actually exist. As you find people that really are fans of your product and your brand, then yeah, why not make them brand advocates, right? Wouldn't that be terrific? And that's a combination of not only delivering a great product, but providing excellent customer service so they adore you. And then you can have that advocacy piece brought in. Landing pages. do you recommend as a page or on a website or separately? If separate, what tools do you recommend? Quite frankly, I recommend, if you need to create really compelling landing pages and all that, I'd recommend Janu as one option so that you don't have to have any tech folks helping you pull them together. If you want to do the landing page 3.0 that I talked about, which is multiple pages, it's sort of like a little microsite, we make that really pretty straightforward for you because we have a full website content management system within our platform. But again, you could use a WordPress. You can use, there's a lot of tools that give you that capability. It's a matter of what's your technical savvy and how quickly do you want to be able to pull those things together. So if you want to be able to incorporate lead capture forms really easily on your pages and that sort of thing, and you want those leads that are captured to go into a comprehensive database where you can trigger out email lead nurturing campaigns based on their activities and score their responses as they come back in, that's really what Janu is built for, is really that kind of engagement device. So that's something you could think about. WordPress has different plugins. Although I think mostly they're going to send anyone who signs up into your inbox, which is something you want to watch out for. So that's another thing. So at any rate, those are the questions we've gotten. If there are any more questions, please go ahead and send them in, and I'd be happy to take them on and address them. All right. Well, again, I want to, if there's no more questions, if you come up with questions later, you can email me, kim@janu.com. I'm happy to respond to any questions you might have. You can follow me on Twitter at @KimAlby. You can follow us on Twitter at Janu Marketing. So really, thank you so much. We also have a Facebook page, so you can follow us there as well. We post a lot out there as well. So anyways, thank you so much for attending. I appreciate your listening. And again, next month, we're going to be having a webinar on search engine optimization because there's a lot of changes that Google has made, and it has literally dropped sites right out of visibility at all. A lot of sites were affected by this. So we're going to have some top expert on to talk about search engine optimization and how you can really approach it. So we're going to be doing that. So thank you so much. And how you receive a copy, we will be sending everybody who attended a link back to the webinar recording that we've got so that you can basically engage with that and forward that on to anybody that you think would love it or that it would be applicable to. So that's what we'll be doing for that. All right? Thank you so much. I appreciate your listening, and I will see you soon.